But what Ed says, it gets it off our
Make a
our
recommendation to
plate.
the town board, the town board.
And we're not meeting again till the 19th of July, and so, it would cause potentially some problems on, maybe on his end too. He's not gonna be open for a while.
The other thing has to go on here, you guys have to set the public hearing for that 60.
Hey Larry, have you been going to those?
He had his public hearing.
Oh, I couldn't make the last one, 'cause I had another meeting, but.
No, public hearing has to be here.
Primary, do we have anybody?
All subdivisions are here.
And those family court judges, are they?
No.
They're all.
I'm talking about 60 Pleasant View subdivision.
That's good, yeah.
Oh, plus, I'm still talking.
Yeah, I don't believe-
Oh, yeah, that hearing's done. Sorry,
Turn the page.
You should here,
sorry.
left me in for.
I mean, the meetings are productive.
Yeah, so,
They
yes,
actually had
Set up for the next meeting.
yeah,
a school board.
I believe so, I mean, we'll
Yeah.
confirm that.
Fun for yourself.
For those people
Too
who
long. Yeah.
help donate their time and money and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
We did.
How many were there?
Doesn't.
Was Neil there?
Neil came in a little bit late.
Yeah.
Minor
It's
subdivision
tough
discussion.
finding a place. You gotta go up this alley.
We got
Gentlemen was
barn
in the same
down.
place, back there?
Yeah,
Selling
in
the
the back.
house
It's
with
the-
the
it's the
farm on
community.
it.
It's a community room. But they got it,
We're
like,
not done with that.
whatever that was, the second Wednesday of every month. Okay, and so, they don't-
Yeah, they did.
The second Wednesday of every month. So I never,
They did the neg deck last
I
night.
keep thinking.
yeah.
Pardon?
They did the neg deck for that last night.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. With conditions. Tony made the conditions, if I remember correctly, right?
The only condition was the barn come down.
Barn comes down upon transfer of title.
Right, that was the
Yeah,
condition.
yeah. I don't want to start without you ready. All right, we're going to start. We'll stand and recite the pledge. Slow it down. Oh, the fan, yeah. Roll call, please, Sue. Here.
Rebecca Anderson. Here. John Curtis, S.J. Anthony Gorski.
Here.
Joseph Key.
Here.
Lawrence Korzenski.
Here.
Michael Ryan.
Here.
Welcome, everyone. This is a meeting of the Planning Board of the Town of Lancaster. Please keep in mind that we are an advisory and recommending board and not a final decision-making body. The rules of the Planning Board allow us to recognize only the petitioners of the various projects and their representatives. We ask that anyone wishing to make a comment do so in writing. We'll take a look at the meeting minutes from the previous meeting. Ask if there's any additions or deletions or comments. Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to accept.
So moved.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Okay, next we'll move on to the communications list. All good? Okay. We'll move on to our agenda then. Our first case would be the rezone petition of 5767 and 5775 Genesee Street. Please come up.
Mr. Chair, before we get started, I'd like to let the board know that Mr. Wicks is a client of mine. I had nothing to do with this particular project. I know Mr. Metzger did all the work on it, but I have to abstain from any comment or vote.
Okay. Duly noted. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm happy to be the first item on the agenda tonight. For the record, my name is Michael Metzger with Metzger Civil Engineering, 8245 Sheridan Drive, Williamsville, New York. And with me tonight is my client, Mr. Douglas Wicks. Let me talk a little bit about the property. Well, what I have here, you've seen it, it's in your package, is the zoning map and what the zoning is within 3,000 feet of the property. The two properties that he owns are these two right at the corner of Stony and Genesee. I just want to give you some context of what's going on around there. The commercial properties adjacent, that's Adams, of course, and then behind here is all residential, single-family homes. This is the development plan, or the proposed plan, and what I've done here in highlight, just to show you where the existing properties are. Two separate parcels, as I pointed out, and this being one of them, Stony, Genesee. One property here, which has the commercial business on the corner, and then it has a single-family home adjacent to it, and nothing back here. The second property has a fronts on Genesee Street, and has a single-family home on it, and it's open all the way to the back. What Mr. Wicks' desire is to kind of clean things up a little bit. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Things evolve in time, and these properties evolved in time. At one point, it made sense for there to be a commercial property here with a single-family home of the folks that operated the business. That's not all making a whole lot of sense anymore. So what we're looking to do is separate things out, get the home separated from the commercial property. Now, right now, the zoning that I pointed out to you here it's all commercial. It's all GC here. And what we're looking to do is split it out so that the commercial property would be still on the frontage, and we're looking to segregate this property to the south as residential. And then at the same time, well, not at the same time, stepped process. Obviously, there's multiple steps to this. There's only two properties now. Ultimately, if we're successful with this, there would be 4 properties, 4 lots, relatively small by comparison with some of the other things that you look at. But it really is something that makes a whole lot of sense. So the steps would be obviously rezoning. That's what we're here for tonight, to solicit a rezoning recommendation from the planning board to the town board so that they could take that action. And then once, should that be secured, then we would move on to the subdivision process, but a part of that would be some variances. There's a couple variances that would be required to make this work, plus at the same time, in working with Mr. Fichone, there's a lot of history here and some things that maybe are not compliant, are definitely not compliant with the current zoning requirements as far as setbacks and things like that. But again, it's a building that's been here for decades, and rules change and things don't make sense, or they're not compliant as the rules change, or sometimes things are done prior to any of us being involved with this that are not in compliance. So we would be looking to kind of clean things up with some area variances, no use variances, just some area variances And then ultimately, we would request a subdivision of the property so that we would end up with a parcel here with the commercial building on it, a parcel here with a single-family home on it, a parcel here that would have the existing single-family home on it with a reasonable backyard, and then one more building lot that would be available for potential development. Thanks. This, I look at this, the aerial photograph, and it really helps give me some perspective on what we're asking to do here. If you kind of take a look, I think you'll be able to get a feel more where we're at with Genesee Street and across the top. That's work this way. The reason I'm handing this out is just to give you a perspective of what's going on in the neighborhood. You'll see in that aerial photo, and I apologize, we should have pointed out that it's situated so that the beige part is up. That's the other side of Genesee Street. You've got it right there.
There you go.
Becky, you can turn it. Anthony, you have to turn a little bit just to get north up if you want to get that perspective. But what I'm attempting to show there, and you can see the busy commercial parcel here, single family home, and as you go down there, the parcels as they go down, you've got coming up from the south, you got home, blank, home. It writes its own destiny, really, for this to be reconfigured and for the zoning to be residential back here. You've got this single-family home here. It makes sense for another future single-family home to be there to complete, what's happening on Stony Road right now. So what we're looking for is a favorable recommendation to the town board to rezone the property, this portion right here, from commercial to residential, single-family home residential. With that, be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
On this, the house that's still going to be in a GC district on the right there, are there garages attached to that don't show on your plan, or is buildings kind of?
There's a garage here.
That is the garage.
Yeah. It happens to be 0.2 feet from the property line.
Happens to not be labeled.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. It doesn't really show real well here. So this is it right on the property line.
Yep. And in the future, should we be successful with the rezoning, that would be one of the requests that we would make.
I'm sorry?
Should we be successful with the rezoning, that would be one of the requests that we would make. Even though it's existing, just working with Matt, we'd like to just kind of clean it up so that the file is clean and there's legitimacy to the fact that it's there as it exists, as it has, again, for decades.
So the garage goes with the house, and it would be a variance to have no setback.
Right.
And then it leaves this as a pre-existing non-conforming use.
As far as the use is concerned, that's
in
correct.
the zone.
That's right. That's right. And again, we're not asking to do anything here. This is an existing property line. Again, we're just trying to clean up the file.
Right.
Right.
Well, what you're saying makes sense, and it certainly separates the house to the south from the commercial district, so.
Right.
And then you're going to add one more house should there be a rezone and subdivide that lot. So,
Right.
okay, that makes sense to me. I'm just wondering what stays and what goes, because you've got stuff dealing with business on the property line too. So does any of that need to be moved, or is that just stay?
Things that you're seeing in the aerial?
Yeah, it looks like a trailer.
There's been some things that have already been taken care of, so that that photo is not totally accurate. Maybe, Doug, could you talk a little bit about some of the things that you've done there with the the smaller accessory structures that have been on site?
There was a shed that was on site, a 10 by 12 foot shed, that I moved it, and it wasn't going to necessarily really fit in the backyard and everything, unless I really need to further, so I moved it altogether.
That would have
In this-
straddled a property line.
In this picture, it almost looks like a semi-truck parked
Yeah, it's not a shed. It's
Through the
definitely,
garage.
No, there's a trailer next to the garage, yeah, there is a trailer next to the garage.
Okay.
Okay, I'm doing okay with this. The house that stays in the commercial district, has that been associated with the business? Or is that a totally separate
That's a separate parcel.
family and separate parcel that's always been separate?
It's always been separate.
So, and it's occupied?
It is not occupied right now.
Okay.
But the intent is for it to be
Yeah,
occupied.
the intent, in going forward with this process, I knew it was going to be difficult to get the people that live there for quite a long time. I bought the house with them in it. That was an estate, they were living there, so I knew it was going to be a challenge. So when I started last year and went through the process to get them out of there and move it along. So the place being big right now, I'm just trying to clean it up and do some work. I had some trees removed this week and some other.
Are you planning on renting it then?
I plan on selling it.
You plan on selling it?
Yes.
So obviously, we would need to make sure that we get everything else taken care of before that point, because the back portion of that lot will disappear
Yeah.
if we're successful.
Right. And so the back portion ends kind of right behind that garage. With a few feet, there's some space there, but.
Probably 30 feet, right?
Whatever's there, so that lot line then kind of will match. Like with a fence, is that a fence?
There's a
Back of the
fence.
business, right, so it'll kind of be about there.
That's where the property line, the fence was put up, actually with that in mind.
With that in mind, okay, okay. So that whoever you sell this to would be buying it knowing that the garage is on the property line.
Pretty good.
And pretty much clear that it's a pre-existing non-conforming use. So it means that it's always been a residence, it stays a residence.
That relates to the zoning.
Yeah,
What she's saying is that
It-
the residential wouldn't be allowed if you wanted
Oh,
to
yeah,
build.
sure.
But it's there now.
But it's there now. So as long as the use doesn't change from residential, it can stay residential. But should you say that you want to put a coffee shop or something in there because it's,
on Genesee.
on Genesee Street or something, then it can no longer again be a residence after.
Right.
Square. Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Ed, anything from you?
No, not for the reason.
Matt, anything from the building department?
Well, I did submit a letter on June 5th on the rezone submittal. Item number 2, we did not receive an application for minor subdivision, although we do have subdivision plans for it. This was a cursory review for the rezone to begin this discussion. The subdivision portion of it should be a part of the action and the recommendation from this board because the remaining parcels are going to be rezoned. And I know everybody's reading the comprehensive plan these days. It's recommended not to split existing parcels into 2 different zoning classifications. And again, just dialing in on some of the most recent flood maps, the southern boundary lines of both of those properties do fringe in a floodplain. We're going to want verification of elevations. We're going to want to have it identified, and we're going to need to have a plan of what is going to happen when the parcels are split and when they're being proposed for sale on all 4 pieces. My comment on the first comment, I thought I was in error again. I reread the secret requirements, but as a type 1 action, it does not meet the thresholds for a reclassification of the zoning district, so it is an unlisted action. The item number 3, that existing automotive repair facility is beyond words. Spillage onto side yards, into the county right-of-way at Stony Road, into the state right-of-way on Genesee Street, and into the parcel adjoining with whatever, it's all there. It ebbs and flows, but the overall volume remains the same. So the comment in sentence number 3 is that remainder corner parcel will meet all of the setback requirements. Yard space, landscape space, we're not parking in the right of ways, we're not going to provide, cross through, cutting into the parking lot to make a left-hand turn and a right-hand turn lane on the Stony Road. Whatever it is, we got to straighten that corner out because it's just, it's been. Lastly, privacy fence that's recommended along the south property line, it's going to separate the commercial properties from the residential properties. I'd also recommend another one dividing the 2 commercial properties because the existing non-conforming use, maybe even more non-conforming with the split, is going to need a physical barrier to separate the 2 parcels to prevent that spillage again.
Is that physically possible with that garage there?
Of course there is.
Sure. You can just come up to the garage and then continue.
And then continue on to the side yard and you got to drop back down to 3 feet in the front yard, whatever it is, but there should be that physical boundary there. It's going to clearly identify the 2 parcels, just to prevent any little neighborly disputes that would definitely happen in that scenario. So, as far as the whole action, until we get that subdivision application in here, I don't see us going any further. The seeker has to be done both on subdivision and rezone. So why segment a seeker? Why go through all that nonsense? So we can do all at once and make sure that it's all properly.
Just to make sure we're clear on that, so are you suggesting then, Matt, that the planning board take action on the subdivision at the same time that they take action on the rezoning?
Absolutely, yeah.
What about the variances then? Would that come?
Have to go through that process as well. Seeker would have to be done before the ZBA can act on these area setbacks, especially in the commercial property.
Yeah, but by all means, seeker should be done for everything at one time. I'm just curious about the variances, though. Would we need? But I'm not quite sure how we would go to the ZBA and ask for variances for something that's not yet of the zoning that we are asking variances from. That's why I was thinking that it would be a stepped process where it would be rezoning, variances, subdivision. I mean, I'm more than happy,
Our town board cannot rezone this property not conforming to the zoning code. They're not going to rezone a parcel of land that meets 5 variances, and then it should be concurrent. I mean, the action that we're taking for rezone and subdivision is ultimately to that end. So, the recommendation can't be made for an approval unless the zoning requirements are met. So as the information comes in, as the seeker responses come back, all the input comes through, we can do the public hearings, we can review seeker so that the ZBA can act as an agency and to get the recommendation from the planning board, both rezoning and subdivision, with final approvals at the town board level.
Again, just to make sure I'm clear on the process, you're suggesting planning board would then take action on their recommending body, of course. Would we then go to the town board for the rezoning and the subdivision prior to going to the ZBA?
No, we should have ZBA granting relief prior to any recommendation and approval. This board can't recommend non-conforming.
So then you're suggesting we should be at the ZBA first?
After seeker is done, unless we double up on seeker, I don't see that being possible.
Okay. All right. So for a second there, I was confused, kind of wondering why we're here if we should be at the ZBA first. But you're suggesting that seeker be done first.
Absolutely.
Okay. So seeker done at the Town board
Planning
level?
board level,
We do it.
town board will
Okay.
adopt seeker, zoning board can act at that point, then this board can make the recommendation.
Okay, so planning board would then, as you say, do seeker, they would do the negative declaration. Okay, and then we go from there to the ZBA.
Correct.
Okay,
After town board acts on the seeker.
Yeah. Town board
Okay.
approves.
Yeah, Planning board will recommend neg deck.
okay, so the planning board does not do seeker, they're recommending on seeker as well.
and Town
Okay.
board will act on it. Once that's done,
To me, that would make sense because they're the, and,
then the ZBA can act.
yeah,
And it can go back here for final
Okay.
recommendation.
okay,
And back to town board for final
Okay.
approval.
planning board, town board, seeker's done,
Yep.
ZBA, and then back to planning board for a recommendation on the rezoning and the subdivision to the town board for reason, the actual action on the,
Both rezone and subdivision.
right, right, okay, okay,
So it almost appears that it's a palatable request. I guess subdivision application as soon as possible, so that we can move forward with
okay. So if we get a subdivision application, you've already got the EAF, we actually took the step of doing a long EAF, even though it's unlisted action. Subdivision application in immediately and then potentially, possibly back on the next planning board agenda for consideration of seeker?
Possibly.
Possibly, understood.
Matt, anything else? Thank you for the direction, by the way, that helped us. Emily, any law department?
No,
Councilmember Mazer?
Mike, have you talked to any of the neighbors yet about this? This is what we're thinking, might be a good idea.
I've started, I've got a list, I got my courses free tail strip.
Okay, because I think it goes out, notification is 200, I don't think,
I think it's 2.
200. Just to let you know, people will be contacted about the reason.
Right, they, yeah, I think once the, right, the notice is right.
And as much as we may think it's doing something that's very good for the community, there may be a difference of opinions out there.
I think that, my couple of neighbors I talked to, they didn't know that the zoning had been changed on Genesee Street. And it's just a County website, and this is just so now when it was changed to commercial, it transferred to the county website.
Yep.
And Mike, just gonna say, for the subdivision, the biggest issue is, this is really simple, the biggest thing is gonna be maintaining separate drainage for each of the lots, no cross drainage. And if there is cross drainage, then you're gonna have to show easements.
Rebecca, you were saying?
I was getting clear in my own head that so we're gonna do the whole process at the same time. It's actually a down zone. You're not going from residential to commercial, you're going the other way around.
Right,
Usually that's easier for people to understand. Because you're just cleaning up the zoning on the existing house, proposing a split for a second buildable lot that is in the flood zone, so you have issues there until we get some elevations verified. And then you've got the existing house that you're cleaning up and doing something with to sell. So those people need to know they're in a commercial district, the GC, whoever you sell it to.
Right.
But then they have the option of using it as a residence or not.
sure.
Am I right? Yeah.
Well, I don't know, is there any,
I
yeah,
mean, it's a residence, but because it's staying in the general commercial district, should they decide that they want to do something else with the property, if it sells, it's already zoned GC. So is that why you're thinking maybe not Not, well, if you change that to residential too, the property next door to the SDC, the whole strip of.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
Okay, that other picture you had.
Former zoning was general business all the way across.
Right.
All those single-family homes were all existing non-conforming.
Right.
To the net. Now they went from a general business to general commercial.
I keep saying the wrong words. but yeah,
Basically the same thing.
Same thing.
I got you started on that, sorry.
Well, you know, but then it's Adams, so, you know, Adams Nursery is there, which is a big chunk. So it makes sense to me that what you're planning makes sense.
Just got to keep in mind though that you're taking you're taking a general business portion of those lots, converting them to a residential zoning district where everything around it is agricultural residential. Not that it really matters because the lots have been carved up and they're small enough. They're in the sewer district. It will be residentially identified, right?
I see nothing left to save, you know? It's one lot that isn't that big. And it does it match the character of the neighborhood? Pretty much,
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay.
I understand how we got here. I mean, when it,
It's convoluted, Mike, but
Yeah.
you come in here with the tough ones. You never come in here with anything easy.
This is the simplest.
There's other people that snatch up the easy ones.
It's so clear cut, Mike. But it's got floodplains, so you get that in your favor for picking it up.
It may be clear cut, but the direction that he has to take wasn't so clear cut.
Right.
It's gonna be a bit.
Yeah, a lot of steps as I was heading towards earlier, and I cut myself out for a relatively small project with a lot of steps. And I certainly know how we got here. I know the town, at the time that they did the town-wide rezoning, they tried very hard not to split lots by multiple zoning classifications, but this is and you can't, when you do a town-wide rezoning, you can't micromanage every property. You'd never get it done. So this is where we're at, and we're just looking to make some sense of it. And it seems like you agree.
Well, we look forward to seeing you back here again.
So really, we just have the table, right?
Uh-huh. We don't have a complete application.
Yeah, we don't have the application.
We don't
right?
really have anything to vote on because we still don't have the subdivision application, for example. We don't have a complete application. So
Yep.
making a motion to table?
I am.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Abstain for the reasons stated.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll see you back here.
I'm happy to be the last item on the agenda.
We're not so sure.
Oh, boy. All right. We're going to get out of here. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Matt, I don't know if we ever finalized whether or not we should move forward with that seeker or not. Do you think we're okay to move forward with it? Or not? What would your recommendation be?
My recommendation?
Yeah.
We've already referred special use permit out for comment. I'm assuming. Is that accurate?
I'm not sure. I don't know if we'd have. I can go upstairs in the file.
Special use permits are required to be referred to the county.
I know the county app, that's one email from Tom. saying,
Okay.
Just waiting to get the response, you had a date, they sent it.
Take care.
Good night. So I'm not sure what to do at this point. If we do it or not.
Well, we can't err by waiting to see what
Okay.
DOT has to say. If we jump on it now,
Or you can go through it and just comment that you want to hear from the DOT.
yeah.
That's
and
what,
just
that's
leave it out.
what, that's what Ed was.
So we open seeker and then we just take it. We can do
Okay.
that. And that gets the ball rolling, at least we started.
We need a motion to open secret?
Sure.
Does somebody want to make a motion? to Open secret on the Lucas James property? On the special use permit for the Lucas James property.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, go through it.
Start the first one.
Will the proposed action create material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
Will the proposed action result in the use or intensity of use of land?
It's changing.
Small, right?
Yeah.
Small.
It's not really changing the intensity with the rest of
Right, so no small impact. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
it.
No. Skip number 4. Number 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
Well, this is one of the ones we don't really know about the existing level of traffic, so we'll have to hold on this question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds fair. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies? Public or private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in natural resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No. So I propose that we table our short assessment form review for the Lucas James project for the special use permit until we find out if the DOT or County Highway have any questions about the track change, the amount of proposed increase in traffic in and out of that corner.
Anyone second the motion?
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Anything else from the board members tonight? Ed, anything from you?
No, it's, you've got to set the public hearing for 60 Pleasant View.
With the set of public hearing.
What's
For
that?
60 Pleasant View, he
For the
said,
Pleasant View.
We need a resolution
public hearing is,
tonight from this
oh,
board?
he said we set the public.
You've set the public hearing for the next meeting.
Set it for the July.
Yeah, for July 19th.
Right, we didn't do a resolution to the board.
You need. Yeah, right, yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm sorry, no, that's what I was saying.
So we have to,
To schedule the public hearing for that for the next
For the
meeting.
19th of July.
July.
okay. Ryan. We need a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Anything else, Ed?
No.
Emily? Nothing from the legal. Matt?
Just a heads up. 2 more minor subdivisions are coming, perhaps a third if they can get out of litigation. And early this morning, I got an inquiry about possible slaughterhouse in the ag residential district. So I'm searching for definitions, trying to see where processing of livestock can fit. And they have a whole lot of time to get through that. Forewarning.
Okay.
It's not on my street, is it?
That's gonna be the question out of everyone's mouth. Anything else, Matt? Councilmember Mazur. Matt, Cindy and I would like to talk about if we could get us some time scheduled with you to go over that application. We'd like to sit down and start looking at the application. And-
Applications?
Yeah.
All right.
So if we can figure out a time slot, half hour, or 45 minutes, or an hour, whatever, we can squeeze.
And I can trade off some time slots that are available.
Yeah, that'd be good, if you could do that. And then just for the board's awareness, I am going to hopefully get that, that I sent out to I think I sent it out to everybody. Actually, I know I sent it out to everybody. The revised application, or agenda process. It's moving along, and hopefully before we get to the next meeting, we'll have it all finalized. I think it's in a pretty good place, and more to come on that. Other than that, I don't have anything else, so I think at this point, we'll look for a motion to adjourn, or I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned.
You know what, I can't decide if it's allergies or like some sort of a head. Right, right. You know, it's like you open your window and it's like you're sitting next to a campfire.
All right, see you guys.
All righty.